Speaker in this session is Shane Skillen from Hotspex. He's the founder and CEO of Hotspex, a top grit 15 innovator that has been reinvented 5 times in the past 15 years. He's still trying to get it right, I guess. Leading global brands across 40 countries. He is the past chairman of MRIA, where he helped Canadian insights professionals evolve to meet technology changes in market research. He has a very understanding wife who puts up with his ADD, and 3 very young sons who are the joy of his life. He's passionate about skiing. He's a Canadian. I mean, what can you say? Electronic music, and ensuring that we as an industry innovate to avoid death.
Awesome. Thanks, Reg. Is my mic on? Can you hear me? Yes? Perfect. So great to be here today. I have the luxury of going to a lot of conferences all over the world, and I assure you, this one here is one of the very best. And the reason why it's the very best is because all you folks actually show up at it. There's always a great group of innovative people here that are really forward-looking, trying to figure out what our future holds. And because of that, the message I have for you today is that we all must innovate or die. And it sounds cliche, but I think when you see what I'm going to show you today, you'll see it's important. So I just want to begin with a commercial from Germany, actually, that I saw a few months ago. And one of the keys to actually innovation is actually going to be emotion and being able to understand how respondents are feeling. So when I play this commercial in a sec, I want you to look very closely and try and feel what the passengers in the car are feeling. They're very small initially, so just try to focus, and we'll talk about it in a minute. If you just play the video, it'd be great. Yes, totally worked. Saw a lot of you. Hopefully none of you have actually wet yourselves. What I actually do want to talk to you today is about fear. The reason why I want to talk about fear, everybody okay? Everyone's still breathing, great. The reason why I want to talk about, sorry about that. I'll buy you a beer later. The reason why I want to talk about fear is it's actually the most powerful emotion. We all have a desire to actually preserve ourselves, and I'm hoping today that I can scare you enough that next week, next month, and next year, that you actually take some of what I'm about to say into account. See, I work at Hotspex. We have the luxury of working with a bunch of great brands around the world, hearing their deepest challenges and what's keeping them awake at night. And I've also, as Reg was saying, I've also just come from being the chairman of the Market Research Association in Canada. And the reason why I did that was to help a lot of our members adjust to what digital is actually bringing to our industry. So I'm here very little today to talk to you about Hotspex. I'm here very much today to talk to you about digital. So I truly believe that it could actually kill the insights business. Does anyone agree with me that that might happen? Few people out there, I asked that question a few years ago. Nobody would believe that would happen. The bigger question is, what are we all going to do about it? Forget our competitors. Forget all that. We need to unite and actually figure out what some solutions are here for this. So actually, my clock's not counting down, Reg. Does this mean I have unlimited time?
You're just holding them from a break.
Oh, okay. So I will try to be on time because you just mentioned that point. So who's taking an Uber? And see a show of hands taking an Uber. Anyone not taking an Uber yet? Wow, just a few people not taking an Uber. I asked that same question 3 years ago. It was completely switched. You think about this company. It wasn't even really around that long ago. It's worth $50 billion now. And about the next half a year to a year, it'll be worth more than General Motors. And it doesn't even own a single car. It's amazing. There's 1 million rides a day. Every day, 1 million car rides are booked on Uber. And they're hiring 50,000 new workers every month around the world. I sure would not want to be a taxi driver right now. As you can see in a lot of different markets, I'm from Toronto in Canada. Our taxis are freaking out. They're not happy with this massive disruption that's happened that's been made possible from Uber. And what I hope we all won't be is the taxi drivers of the market research industry as digital comes in and changes the way we do things. Another great example here is Airbnb. If you think about how long it took Hilton to amass 610,000 rooms, 93 years, Airbnb did more than that in just 4 years. It's incredible. It's completely incredible. Airbnb doesn't even own a piece of real estate, and now they're already bigger than Hilton, all possible through digital. One of my favorite examples, because it's very dramatic, is actually film. So this is actually the film business. So you can see at the peak in about 2001, about 35,000 film camera units were sold. Watch how quickly that changed. It's not like it faded away in 10 years or 20 years and everyone saw it coming. It was like that. And I remember there's even funny stories about Kodak executives saying, yeah, Instagram's coming out, people using camera phones, but it's not really going to be that big a deal, is it? And now, Instagram's worth $1 billion and Kodak's bankrupt. At its peak, Kodak had 150,000 employees. Instagram's now worth $1 billion. Anybody know how many employees work at Instagram? Anyone want to guess? 18. 18 employees work at Instagram. All made possible through digital. Amazon, incredible. Last 17-year growth trajectory versus Walmart's. Incredible, game changer, logarithmic growth versus old school business models. Pay attention, all this stuff is happening right in front of us, like a frog boiling in water to some extent in our industry. If you actually look at a lot of the conference sponsors, you'll see a lot of technology companies here. This is the type of growth that they could actually achieve. Alibaba, another great example. Jack Ma, the founder, was in China a few years ago with some Walmart executives, and they mused about whether Alibaba could actually be bigger than Walmart. And in fact, Alibaba now, market capitalization is actually bigger than Walmart. Growing faster, bigger, and they're launching in the US. Guess what they've got to do to actually launch in the US? They've got to put 2 servers in. Guess what Walmart would have to do to launch in China? Billions of dollars in infrastructure and shipping and transportation and stores and staff. Alibaba's got a new business model powered by digital that allows them to do that easily. Elon Musk, one of the guys actually changing the world we know around us maybe faster than most. Anybody know what Elon Musk is terrified of? The thing that he thinks is going to happen that he's terrified of. Anybody know? It's artificial intelligence. He actually said, I just read it this morning, that he thinks that robots will one day treat us like Labradors. Because we told the machines that the purpose of our life is to be happy, and Labradors are just always happy. So if the machines can treat us like dogs and throw us bones and feed us and make sure we're warm and have good shelter, the machines will have survived, or will have succeeded. So I believe this is actually going to happen, believe it or not. Or not that will happen, but watch this. This is how fast computing power is changing. So if you go way back to the 1900s at the beginning here, you can see it was all electromechanical, and then we move into the integrated circuit around 1965. But watch how much powerful stuff is getting. So up in the right there, you see the Core i7 Quad from Intel and the Core Duo. It's as smart as a mouse. And you all know trends here and how to read linear charts and can see where it's going. How many years is it before they've got a computer that processes information and is more intelligent than a human brain? Because it's not that many years. That human brain, I mean, the implications for that on our business are incredible. Now, that's not to say we don't possess things that machines can't do, like creativity and certain emotions, but these machines are going to get smarter and smarter and smarter and take more of the work we do day in and day out away from us. So how does this all relate to marketing research? This guy, did anyone see this guy's talk this morning, Veselin? Amazing talk. That was unbelievable. They've actually developed at Cambridge an algorithm that could look at your Facebook likes and know you better than your mother and your spouse know you. That's incredible. And they don't even have to ask you a single question. It's incredible. I've actually had my staff back at the office playing with it today, and it's been freaking them out. Like, really freaking them out. If you haven't done it and gone to his website and actually tried how that thing works, it will freak you out. That's the type of stuff that's coming. That's the stuff that Cambridge and that MIT and that Harvard and all these folks are working on, is a future where digital is enabling not asking questions, but actually knowing us better than we know ourselves. Some real market impacts as well, too. Some of you might have heard that Ipsos had a rough year last year in North America, 6.1% drop in income. Very significant. Digital was a major component in this, a major component. So it's starting to affect our businesses. I will say that Ipsos did a very good job and actually reacted to it and has some new programs in place to take advantage of the changes that are happening, and it actually looks like they're starting to turn around. So there is hope. There is a way to actually take advantage of these trends and actually move forward. SMR said that 50% of today's research jobs will be fundamentally different because of big data and technology. 50%. It means if you looked at the person beside you, one of you two is going to have a dramatically different job within, it's the next 5 years they actually said that was going to happen. I believe that in 7 years, 30% of the jobs in research are going to be eliminated. And it's just how it goes. So when Uber comes into a market, it's what happens. When Airbnb comes into a market, it's what happens. When eBay comes into a market, it's what happens. Digital transforms markets, automates things, and actually takes the need for human capital out of that value chain in a very serious way. So I've been very lucky in my travels, spent a lot of time in Japan with Toyota, actually. And in Japan, they've got this very interesting word for crisis that's simultaneously danger and opportunity. So every time there's a crisis, they see it as, wow, something really bad happened. But the other side of it is a great opportunity to go and do something different and almost rewrite what the future holds, which I think we can all do. Why I'm really optimistic that we're going to succeed in this as an industry is because guys like this. This is David Soderberg from Pepsi. Very senior guy, like sort of number 2, number 3 guy in the global PepsiCo organization. Really, really smart dude. I've known him for about a decade, back when he was back in London. And I love seeing him because you always ask him what he's up to. And so I saw him in New York in his office about 4 weeks ago, and I said, Dave, you know, what's up, man? What are you doing today? And he says, you know what, man? I'm learning how to program in Python. Does anyone know what Python is? Few people. Python is Google's computer programming language. I'm like, Dave, what the fuck? Why are you learning how to program in Google's computer programming language? He's like, Shane, you must know the future of research is that we're not going to be asking any questions, and that IT and digital are going to dramatically replace the way we do things. And I said, yeah, but why are you learning this? And he said, well, because that's our future. Our future is to be able to understand, not to necessarily program this stuff and do it all, but to understand how technology people and IT people will use these tools to create new streams of insights that allow business decision makers to make better decisions, which is what we do at the end of the day. Our whole reason for being is making better decisions that lead to brand growth, and he believes that Python's going to be part of that. He also told me, he said, if that's freaking you out, wait till you tell you what else I'm learning. I said, well let me hear it. So he's learning artificial intelligence. Has anyone ever heard of Coursera? So there's a website called Coursera, a bunch of you, great. So Coursera, one of the most popular courses on Coursera is by the founder of Coursera about artificial intelligence. Free course, I think the guy's from MIT, it's amazing. The future of education is amazing. Everything you could learn and pay tens of thousands, if not $100,000 for, is all going to be on the internet. So you're going to have our whole society having the same access to education and learning. And if you're interested in artificial intelligence, and it's complicated stuff, and when you watch this guy teach it, which I've started to do, it's not that complicated. And I assure you that this artificial intelligence, being part of digital, is going to dramatically change our business. So probably a lot of you are actually seeing this phenomenon happen across client organizations, and that's this battle, this tug-of-war almost between information technology and insights. I'm not going to tell you their names, but I've seen it happen differently at different clients. Very big global clients. One where information technology is winning. The IT folks have come in and got all the budget for all the technical infrastructure and are now controlling the conversation around how insights are going to be harvested so that business decision makers can make better decisions. And another example, I've actually seen the research department lead this. And the way they did it is actually built an econometric model that could basically look at the whole business process. And the head of insights actually controls the global media budgets of all the brands. So you think about, it's amazing. The head of research is probably the second most powerful person in the company besides the CEO. She gets to decide how much money each brand gets globally. And that's power. I mean, that is true power. And the way that they did that is because they understood how to leverage digital and how to leverage information technology, versus in the other example where the research folks are just kind of left on the sidelines watching IT deal with all of this information. So if you're not in IT, but you're in insights, I implore you to pay attention to big data. I know you hear it all the time. I implore you to pay more attention to it and try to figure out how to incorporate it into your business models. So what's going on in research right now? Speed, super important. And as Lenny would say, anything that can get automated is going to get automated. It's as simple as that. Anything that doesn't require creativity, thought, and strategic consulting will be automated. Who's heard of Zappy? Who's heard of Zappy Store in here? Not that many yet. You've got to check out Zappy Store. Who's heard of Google Surveys? Much more. These two companies, the fastest two companies growing in research, not now, these are the fastest two companies that are growing in research ever. And the reason why is because they're faster, cheaper, and I would maybe argue better in some cases. And the reason why they're able to do that is because they're leveraging digital. You've got to go check out Zappy Store. I mean, literally what Zappy Store is doing is they're taking tried and true methods and they're automating them. So something that used to take 4 weeks and cost $20,000 is done in 6 hours for about $3,000 to $4,000, giving consultants more time to think about what the implications are. So it's not like this is all going to happen. This is happening right now. It's all happening right now. Another big thing going on is P&G. So our friends at P&G were just voted by Green Book as the #1 client, #1 most innovative client. And the reason why is they actually focus on emotion. So let's talk about emotion for a little bit. So I just want you to close your eyes for a sec. Think about a brand you love. Now open your eyes. I'm not going to ask, but I'm sure some of you said Apple. It was not subconscious, but I knew I got it right for a few of you. So I'll just play a video here real quick so I can actually show you how Apple does this and how they achieve this love. It's amazing. The thing I want you to notice there is that Apple, everything they do, and I've heard this from them personally, they start with these 4 emotions: delight, love, surprise, and connected. Any idea you bring forward to the management team, whether it be for a website, a new computer peripheral, any design you might have for an app, has to tie back to these 4 emotions. They create global brand unity and symmetry through the power of human emotion, which is the only true universal language. And so why I show you this is because if you're not currently working with emotion or non-conscious measurement, you better start, because all the brands know that this is power. It's going to be our first $1 trillion company in the world. Yeah, they make good things and stuff works, but they actually really achieve it through the power of emotion. So what's our way forward? Who knows Lenny Murphy? Anyone know Lenny Murphy? All right. Some Lenny fans here. Lenny's the greatest guy. Without Lenny, we probably wouldn't actually be here today. And he's a good friend of mine. And he's only so many people you count in your life that make an impact, and he's definitely one of them. Lenny knows what's going on. A lot of this stuff that I'm saying here today, a lot of it comes from his brain and through his network. If you're not following him on Twitter or reading Green Book, you better start. Because he tells you, did I hear a hell yeah back there? That's right, I did hear a hell yeah. You better start, because he's actually going to give you a glimpse into what's going to happen. And you should pay attention to this, because as you're thinking about your day-to-day life and the projects you're working on, the things you're thinking about inventing, it's going to be a key information source for you. One of the things he talks about, and he just sent me the slide last week, is that we're moving from a state of explore, create, test, launch to co-create. And that's actually what I want to really talk to you about today, is the solution, the answer to digital, the thing that might kill us. Client and supplier joint R&D. So just before I continue, I'm going to teach you a cool technique we learned from our friends at Google. Everybody stand up for a minute. I'm going to make you more creative. All right, everybody up. Close your eyes, and we're going to take 2 deep breaths in. And when you take your first deep breath in, I want you to hold it for a sec until I say let it out. Okay, ready? Breath in. And out. In. And out. All right, sit back down. Believe it or not, that simple exercise statistically just made you all between 10 and 20% more creative. And I've seen people at Google do this in the sales department, in the research department, and even their computer programmers. So I implore you, before you actually start to be creative, which I hope you'll all be, please just take a minute, take a breath. It's super easy. That took, 4 seconds for 10 to 15% more creativity, 10 to 20% more creativity. It's a no-brainer. The next story I want to tell you, this is a good one, is actually how Apple actually does it. Our head of innovation was actually with one of the heads of innovation at Apple in California a few months ago. And I'm like, Shelley, you got to ask them, how do they do it? What's their, how do they do it? Because it's awesome. We're a Canadian research company. We were really trying to help BlackBerry fight off Apple for some time. We just couldn't. They're just this force that couldn't be stopped. And he said, look, the key thing we do is we play off human competition. Where it doesn't matter what they're making, if it's a way to turn on an iPad or the design of a new iMac, they break 2 teams in 2 parts and put them in separate buildings to answer that same challenge. One challenge would be, how are we going to turn on the iPhone? 20 people in that building, 20 people in that building, 1 week, come back, present to the executive team how you did it. There will be a winner. And so now these people are like, shit, there's going to be a winner. We got to focus hard. And they'd come back with 2 great ideas. And the executive team picked the best idea, but then always modified a little bit from the other ideas from the other team. And that's how they do it. RIM didn't do that. They had one guy, Mike Lazaridis, who would decide what was going to get launched. And that's why RIM is where RIM is. The next point I want to make is that everybody's playing the game of life. Your parents, your brothers, your sisters, your clients, they're all playing the game of life. And whether they admit it or not, everybody wants to get promoted. If you, and everyone, I probably will admit, it's just a weird conversation to have. If you try and start a project inside a client and that they can't write that on their performance review and it's going to get attention, praise, and potential promotion from their boss, it's probably not the right project to be collaborating with the client on. So if you can figure that out, that's the type of stuff you should be actually focused on within an organization. Another tip here is how to open the conversation is you get clients to finish the sentence, wouldn't it be great if? So I had to ask Irene Rosenfeld, the former CEO of Kraft, who actually got her start in research, Irene, wouldn't it be great if finish the sentence? And she told me in Canada about 3 years ago, you know what, Shane, it'd be great if I could get a seat at the table. I'd really like to know what's going on at the table at breakfast and dinner. I don't really have any good visibility into that right now. I just want to know who's there, what they're eating, why they're eating it, what food they're pairing it with. That's what I want to know. And so working with her team, who actually made an equity investment into this project in return for future royalty streams, gave us money to actually fund the development of a photo journal that actually we used to take, we probably take about 400,000, 500,000, 700,000 pictures a year across a panel. So pictures are great. I mean, we all know how good pictures are, but the level of detail and information you can get is just fantastic. We then, to actually evolve the product, decided to partner with Nielsen. There's another important lesson in there is that at the end of the day, it's about getting better insights to clients to make better decisions. And so the right move for us was to partner with Nielsen so we could leverage the solution on top of their home scan panel. And so sometimes innovation involves going outside your company and actually working with 2 different partners to create a better solution to lead to better decisions. The next point I want to make is it's really important to launch. Just launch. Anyone read this book, The Lean Startup? A few of you. Every technology company that's out there and sponsors this conference, I guarantee they've read this book. This is their mantra, The Lean Startup. And the key lesson in this is to just launch shit. Get it out, see if it works, fix it, launch it again, fix it, launch it again. We actually experienced the same thing at Toyota on a very cool global project we did with them where everything they do is plan, do, check, act. And it's the law of just marginal increases. And to bring this to sort of be more interesting, I've got a story about this. But David Breslin, who was hired back in 2010 to help Team Sky, British cycling team, try and win the Tour de France. And he figured he could do it if he could go after marginal improvements, just 1% improvements. He looked at everything. He looked at the pillows they slept with, the time of day they actually flew, the different types of food they were eating, the massage oils they were using, just to squeak out these little 1% efficiencies. And he said, if I can do this, enough of this, I can win the Tour de France in 5 years. He was wrong, because they actually did it in 3. And then the next Olympics, they actually won more medals than any national cycling team had ever won before, just by little 1% improvements, which there's opportunity to do in all of the products we have right now. We as researchers are married to current methodology and don't really want to innovate. That's bullshit. That's not going to work. We need to open our minds to changing our methodologies and adapting them to how digital is going to work. This is another great story, too, with our friends at General Mills. We said, wouldn't it be great if we had a way to identify great ideas earlier on in the creative development process? And wouldn't it be great if we get those results in 72 hours? And we said, yeah, we think that'd be great as well, too. But how are we going to know what a good idea is? One of the things that clients have is a database of how ideas have done in market. So without that, sometimes you can't build the tools. So in collaboration with them, we piloted a methodology to actually predict how successful ideas were going to be in market, thus answering their business challenge. And the last one I'll tell you about, and this is interesting too, is we collaborated with 20 clients, 20 different clients, and sometimes competitors to actually create a global methodology. So sometimes you can work with multiple people. So in summary, and I'm finishing up, Fred. You told me I could have more time, but I'm almost done. So clients got the capital. They have clear market needs. They have information and data you can use and process, whereas suppliers can bring things like consumer science, technology, expertise, and I would say the necessity to survive. Suppliers that aren't embracing innovation and the will to actually go forward might not succeed. So I think we can all do it. And I'll actually just close here with this last video one more time. Now, you know the scary guy is going to jump out. It might still scare you a bit. So I've now told you that digital's coming. Hopefully you're not as scared. So still a little scared, but less scared. The last thing I'll ask you to do, and this is important, if you take one thing back to your office, this is what I want you to do. So you just all raise your hands as high as you can for me. Put them up as high as you can. Now raise them a little higher. What's that about? Everybody just went a little 5, 6, 7, 8, 10% higher right there. Put your hands down. I implore you that if you just go into innovation 94, 95, 96%, you're not gonna survive. You might die. You've got to go a full 100% in. You've got to really open your mind up to all these different creative opportunities that are out there. Be creative, try. It's not just for the sake of your career, it's for the sake of our whole industry as digital comes at us. That's actually our real biggest challenge, and I thank you all for your time. And I have no time for questions, so be well, have a good break. My contact information is here. I'd love you to link me in. I love being in touch with people. If you can add me to LinkedIn, I'd really appreciate it. If you have any questions, I'll be around. I'll see you later. Thanks, Reg. Sorry for going over.